It really should come as no surprise to anyone that Donald Trump just has a very weird infatuation with these supposed strongman leaders. And I don't know if you guys have been paying attention to all of these town halls popping up all over the country, but one of the glimmers of hope that I'm starting to notice is that the American people are pretty pissed off that Donald Trump is trying to realign our country with the axis of evil. People really seem to understand that all of these relationships we've built over the past number of decades is actually why America is on top of the global hierarchy. Donald Trump doesn't seem to have any understanding of that at all and is instead trying to tear things down as quickly as possible. And every time he opens his mouth, it just becomes more abundantly clear that he is trying to undermine our place in the world so he can align himself with Putin. And he was recently sitting down with Laura Ingraham, where the topic of Russia came up, and it was just an absolute shame to watch a United States president spew Russian talking points verbatim. If you guys do appreciate my work, please do remember to subscribe.
You have a lot of guns pointing at each other, and a ceasefire without going a little bit further would have been tough. Russia has the advantage, as you know. They have encircled about 2,500 soldiers. They're nicely encircled, and that's not good. And we want to get it over with. Look, we're doing this. There are no Americans involved. There could be if you end up in World War III over this, which is so ridiculous. But, you know, strange things happen. And I think we had a great call. It lasted almost 2 hours. Talked about a lot of things and toward getting it to peace. And we talked about other things also.
This is just not true. There are not Russian troops that are encircling Ukrainian troops. I don't know where Donald Trump heard this. I don't know why he keeps repeating it. I don't know if he thinks he's ingratiating himself with Vladimir Putin. I don't know what is going on here. But this has been refuted over and over and over again, and Donald Trump just continues to repeat it. This is just an absolute embarrassment that a president of the United States would just start regurgitating Kremlin talking points without any critical thought at all. It's just pathetic. Donald Trump then goes on to opine about doing trade relationships with Russia.
In the readout, it also stated that both sides want to get to an improved bilateral relationship, the United States and Russia.
That's true.
How can we trust that Vladimir Putin actually wants that, in that he's not also being influenced at the same time by his close friend, President Xi of China?
Well, look, we have our own discussions with President Xi of China, and he wants to get along also, and he's looking to get along, and we're looking to get along with him. And we will. We have a problem of trade where we have a very big imbalance with China. With Russia, we don't have that much trade, and they'd like to, and we'd like to also. They have some very valuable things for us, including very big forms of rare earth. They have a lot of earth. You know, they have a big chunk of real estate, the biggest, actually the biggest in the world for a country, by far. And on that, they have things that we could use, frankly, and that other people could use. I think that President Xi would like to get along, and I think Russia wants to get along with the United States. I also think we're a much different country than we were just a few months ago. We're a country that's now respected. We were not respected. We were being laughed at. We had incompetent leadership. This was a war, as an example, that would have never happened if I were president.
I guess if there was one thing that Donald Trump said that was true there, is that the United States today looks much different than it did only a few months ago. But that's only because Donald Trump's dumbass is trying to realign us with the likes of Russia. I mean, this is not what the American people signed up for. That's why people are showing up at their town halls all over the country and yelling at their senators and their congresspeople, because Donald Trump is more interested in lining up with Putin so he can feel like a big, bad, tough guy, rather than look out for our other relationships around the world. And I mean, Laura Ingraham is actually asking a decent question here. Why in the world would we trust Vladimir Putin? This is the dude that just invaded the sovereign territory of one of our allies. He went over to Ukraine, kidnapped a whole bunch of children, and brought them back to Russia and gave them new names. Why in the world would we trust a guy like that? And what an absolute slap in the face that is to our ally, Ukraine. I mean, Donald Trump is just getting played here. Putin knows how to manipulate him because Donald Trump's ego is so fragile and it's so easy to talk him up to be a big, bad, tough guy that you can just manipulate him to do whatever it is that you want him to do. It's just so pathetic. Donald Trump then goes on to talk about how Russia would like some of our economic power.
It's sort of it was always a natural enemy situation. They're probably friendly now, but we're going to be friendly with both. I think we're going to be friendly with both. China needs us in terms of trade very badly, but we have to straighten out the deficit. We have now more than $1 trillion deficit with China. It's not even believable. And we're going to be doing something about that. And with Russia, they would like to have some of our economic power.
Again, this is just a slap in the face to Ukraine. Why in the world would we just start working with Russia after they invaded a sovereign territory, after they kidnapped thousands of children, after they killed thousands upon thousands of Ukrainians, all because Vladimir Putin wants to, regrow or reestablish the Soviet Empire? I mean, this is disgusting coming from a president of the United States. We used to have moral clarity in this area. We used to understand that Putin was a tyrannical dictator who didn't care about human rights, who didn't care about the rules of the world, and he just goes out there and does what he wants to do, which is exactly what Trump wants to do. That is why we are seeing this disgusting alignment with the likes of, autocrats all around the world. Donald Trump then goes on to say that, I'm friendly with all of these despots.
And Putin actually said to me, if you're my friend, I'd hate to see you as my enemy. He said that very strongly. But with all of that, I had a very good relationship with Putin. I had a very good relationship with President Xi, a very good relationship with Kim Jong-un of North Korea. Lots of good relationships. And that's a positive thing. That's not a negative thing. But at the same time, I'm about our country. So that's why we're talking about tariffs. We'll be taking in trillions of dollars.
So did you see what he said there? And he was so giddy about it, too. Putin said, well, if you're my friend now, I would hate to be the enemy. I mean, Donald Trump is getting played here, folks. He is no master negotiator. He is no big, bad, tough guy. He is no strong man. Donald Trump is a weak and pathetic individual. And because Putin is so much better at this than somebody like Donald Trump, and because he knows Donald Trump is so easily manipulated because you can just stroke his ego just the tiniest little bit, and Putin can pretty much get him to do whatever it is that he wants to do. It is just so embarrassing right now to be an American because you have a president of the United States who is throwing our allies by the wayside while cozying up to all of these despots. And he seems happy to do it, all because he has no understanding of how any of these things actually work. Laura Ingraham then goes on to ask an actual pretty good question. She says, why do you treat Canada so much tougher than you do our adversaries?
Or any one of
you're tougher with Canada than you are with some of our biggest adversaries.
Only because it's meant to be our 51st state. And
okay, but
but listen to this for a second.
We need their territory. They have territorial advantage. We're not going to let them get close to China.
Look,
right?
I deal with every country, indirectly or directly. One of the nastiest countries to deal with is Canada. The people that, now this was Trudeau, the people that good old Justin, I call him Governor Trudeau, his people were nasty, and they weren't telling the truth. They never told the truth. You know that, they'd say, well, we don't charge. Well, they do. They charge tremendous.
Does Donald Trump even know what he's talking about here? Does he forget that it was actually him who signed the deal, the USMCA trade deal, and that is what we are currently operating under at this very moment? Does he just forget all that? And why is it so easy for him to start talking all this crap about all of our different allies, and then he turns around and starts cozying up to all the despots of the world? I think Donald Trump has made the calculation that his base would rather see Ukraine surrender to Russia, Donald Trump out there parading these bilateral trade agreements with somebody like Russia, and therefore he goes for these wins because sitting down around a table with our allies and coming to some new trade agreement would actually require work. And Donald Trump, he just doesn't know how to govern. He just doesn't know how to do it. He does not have the temperament. He does not have the skill. Like I said, he is no master negotiator. And these little superficial wins with Russia makes him look good to his base. So he just goes ahead and craps on our allies while cozying up to the despots. I think it's pretty much that simple. And then Laura Ingraham goes on to ask a pretty good question. Like, well, if you're going to treat our allies like this, well, aren't you going to drive them into the arms of our adversaries?
We have a very big deficit with Canada, and there's no reason, much more. We have much more.
I don't think so.
Just so you understand, we subsidize Canada, and I like Canada. I love Canada. I love Wayne
now
Gretzky.
the Liberal guys,
I love his wife.
The Liberal Party is going to win now in the next election, most likely. And they were down and out. Isn't that going to make them more hostile to us and possibly
I'd rather deal with a Liberal than a
for
conservative.
China closer to Canada, and that would really put us in a bind.
The conservative that's running is stupidly no friend of mine. I don't know him, but he said negative things. So when he says negative things, I couldn't care less. I think it's easier to deal, actually, with a Liberal. And maybe they're going to win, but I don't really care. It doesn't matter to me at all.
Look how freaking pissed off he is. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. Is this how emotional Donald Trump gets when he's talking to Vladimir Putin? I mean, what a weak little child. A little bit of pushback by Laura Ingraham, of all people, is going to set you off into a rage like this, and we're supposed to expect that you can hold your own against somebody like Vladimir Putin? I mean, give me a break. And like I said, Ingraham is asking a very good question here. If the United States cannot be viewed as a reliable trading partner, if we cannot be viewed as a reliable partner about anything, well, then, of course, all of these trade relationships that we once had, those people are going to start going and looking at other places in the world because the United States can no longer be trusted. So not only is he being played by Russia, but now he's undermining all of our trade relationships all around the world. This is going to be bad for America. This is what we were warning about before he even got elected. We knew something like this was going to happen. It just turns out that it is far worse than anyone could have imagined. And then I'll just show you this one last clip because, again, he just continues to bash on our allies while being so comfortable just speaking praises of Putin and others.
We rebuilt our military. Canada doesn't pay for military. They don't give any. They give us nothing. And they are the worst people to negotiate with of everybody.
You got them with USMCA. You finally got them around the edge on that, though.
No, I got them there. And USMCA is good, but they cheat. You know, an agreement's good, but they cheat. And Mexico cheats also.
But China cheated on your 2019.
Can I tell you what?
Phase one, they totally cheated and dropped it with Biden. You had a great deal.
When Biden took over, he didn't push them. I would call up once every 2 weeks saying you're not living up to the agreement.
Again, do you see how irritated he is because Laura Ingraham is pushing back ever so slightly? It's not like she's going in on him. She's just saying that, hey, this USMCA deal is what you got done in your first term. Now you're saying all of these people are somehow not playing by the rules, except you're not providing any evidence that that is actually the case. I just truly believe that Donald Trump has no clue as to what is actually going on. It's like his brain is playing on repeat, because you'll notice these are the same types of battles he was having in his first term, except this time he's fighting against his very own deals. And because he doesn't know how to govern, because he doesn't know how to negotiate, he's just undermining our place in the world. He's undermining our relationships in the world. Also what? He can play in the same sandbox as the despots of the world? That's why I think we're starting to see people showing up at these town halls all around the country, because they understood that all of these relationships we've built over the past handful of decades, that's what made America strong. That's what put America on top of the global hierarchy. So I'm hoping we can use some of this rage against this administration to build a coalition that can fight back against this administration. Because I don't think anybody thought it was in the cards that America would fall so far so fast, all because we had a goddamn idiot sitting in the White House. So I will leave it there for now, guys. If you guys got anything out of this video, please do remember to smash that like button and subscribe. Maybe share with a friend or two. I'd very much appreciate that. We've got to build something here on the left that can adequately push back against this right-wing media ecosystem and all of this MAGA brain rot that is plaguing our society. So if you do like what I do here, please do remember to subscribe. If you want to see how Donald Trump and his administration are just ignoring courts now and taking away due process rights to deport a whole bunch of people, go ahead and watch that video on the screen now. Otherwise, I'll see you guys on the next one.